Chapter 88 Geto's Fever. Geto remained awake in Gojo's arms, unable to quiet his mind enough to give in to sleep. He gazed at Gojo's face, partially illuminated by the moon and the safety lighting around their building. Gojo's pale eyebrows and white lashes seemed to glow. His lips parted slightly as he slept. Geto fought the urge to run his fingers over the soft pink flesh. Gojo's eyes fluttered open and he looked over at Geto, seeing that he was wide awake. He didn't say anything, but turned onto his side, bringing their bodies closer together. He reached underneath Geto's t-shirt to rub his back, his palm gliding over his skin gently, to relax him. He felt hot, and Gojo pulled his hand from under the comforter and touched Geto's forehead and cheek. He was wide awake now. "Suguru, are you okay? You're burning up," Gojo half whispered. "What? I feel fine. I'm okay," Geto answered. Gojo cupped his hand around the back of Geto's neck. "No, Suguru, you feel feverish," Gojo noted softly. "I don't feel sick," Geto assured him. "You're just keeping me extra warm and this blanket is heavy. Just hold me." Gojo didn't argue and he tucked his arm underneath the comforter to pull Geto close again. "I love you, Satoru." Gojo's breath caught in his throat. The words that Geto rarely spoke to Gojo hung in the air, amplified against the silence of the room. "You're my whole world, Suguru. I love you too," Gojo managed to reply. He bent down and kissed Geto tenderly on the lips. Geto's mouth felt hot too, but he let it go for the moment. Gojo laid back on the pillow and Geto settled into him. He closed his eyes and listened as Gojo's breathing slowed and deepened. Geto managed to fall asleep a few minutes later. In the morning, Gojo opened his eyes to a still darkened room. The skies were gray outside. He gently pulled his arm out from underneath Geto's shoulders and climbed over him to head to the bathroom. When he returned, Geto was curled up in the fetal position underneath the comforter. All Gojo could see was a lump in the middle of the bed. He lifted the comforter up and slid underneath, putting Geto between himself and the wall. "Suguru, what's wrong?" Geto unfolded himself and moved closer to Gojo, popping his head out from underneath the blanket. "Satoru," his voice cracked. Gojo held his hand against Geto's forehead. He still felt warm, too warm. He slid his hand down to feel his face and neck. Feverish. "Satoru, I need you." Gojo sat up and leaned over Geto. Geto's dark hair tumbled over the edges of the pillow. His cheeks were flushed pink, and he looked up at Gojo. Something about the way Geto looked at him aroused him. He shifted uncomfortably, remembering the nature of Geto's recent nightmare. He didn't know how to respond. "Satoru, I need you, but I'm scared." Gojo held his palm to Geto's face and traced his thumb across his cheek. "Suguru, you know I'm not..." He swallowed hard. "I'm not the man who hurt you in your dream, right? I would never hurt you like that. Never." Geto took a deep breath and nodded. "You don't have to rush us back into doing it again if you're not ready," Gojo assured him. "I'm not rushing, but I miss having you like that." Gojo rested his hand lightly on Geto's chest. He thought for a moment. "In your dream, how did it start? How did it happen?" he asked. Geto covered his eyes with his forearm, but answered. "He threw me on the ground." "Well, we're on the bed, so it's already different from your dream." "What else?" Gojo questioned softly. "He shoved my arms against my chest. I couldn't breathe." Geto's voice trembled a little. "Your arms are free, so that's another thing that's different," Gojo pointed out. "Can you tell me more?" "He looked mean." Geto avoided telling Gojo the man looked like him. "Do I look mean?" Gojo asked. Geto pulled his arm away from his face and looked into Gojo's face. Gojo's eyes were a vibrant blue, not dull and dark. His expression was open and concerned. "No," Geto answered. "Well, that's a relief," Gojo teased gently. "And then?" Gojo coaxed. Geto paused. They were getting to the bad parts of the dream. He ripped my pants off, he choked. Gojo felt a lump in his throat. He didn't know if Geto could talk about the rest of the dream, and he didn't know if he could bear to hear it. He was on top of me. Geto had to turn away. He was on top of me, and he forced himself inside me, and I kept telling him to stop. His voice cracked, and he held back a sob. It hurt so bad. Gojo's chest clenched. He lay back down beside Geto again. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but you're safe now, Suguru. Gojo wrapped an arm around his shoulders, feeling the heat radiate off his body. I need to feel you again, so I don't feel him anymore, Geto explained. How about this, Suguru? Gojo spoke softly into Geto's ear. If you're ready, you take your pants off, and I can stay right here, right behind you and hold you close. I'll be gentle, and I'll stop if you say no. It will be nothing like what happened in your dream. Geto looked at him for a moment. Then he reached under the covers and slipped his pajama bottoms off. He turned to face the wall and leaned forward a little. Gojo angled himself so he could enter Geto from behind, slow and gentle. Geto inhaled sharply when he first felt Gojo, and he shut his eyes. Geto's body was soft and warm. Gojo tried not to rush or push too hard. Gojo and Geto's breathlessness filled the room. Gojo's body started to tremble, and he couldn't hold back anymore. Suguru, he gasped when he came. He dropped his head onto the pillow when he finished and buried his face in Geto's hair. Geto wasn't even aware he had a fever until he felt it break. Relief flooded his body. Gojo was still inside him. Geto wasn't frightened of having sex anymore. He felt loved and close to Gojo in that special way again. That's all he needed.